Welcome back to MTVA Chapter 2 of Learning Solidity. In our first chapter, if you guys missed our previous video, you can go back and watch our Learning Solidity Chapter 1. In our first chapter, we covered this, setting up our profile for getting our getAge, getName, setAge, and setName functions. And now for our second chapter, we're going to be incorporating inheritance for external, internal, and public values and how we can incorporate that in our contract. Alrighty guys, see you guys over there. Chapter 1, this is where we left off. We constructed our very first smart contract with our following functions: getAge, getName, setAge, and setName. This is where we left off for our own personal custom profile and also our very first smart contract. In Chapter 2, this chapter, we're going to be covering inheritance as to how we can make this smart contract more complex and a little bit smarter actually. So in this contract, we're going to be implementing our bank regulator function. And also we're going to start that off with the exact same way that we started off the first contract. As you can see, I already have that here starting at line 8. And here, if you remember, we're just building onto the existing contract. So you should all have these in the same file. But of course, if you'd like, you can easily just take this part out and put these separate to not get confused if you're just starting out. We have now public at the end of it, as you can see highlighted yellow. So following the inheritance of the complexity of our smart contract, we have the highlighted words public, private, and is. So public now, all that is displaying is that this is now public on the IDE and that we can now interact with these functions on the side here, such as setAge, setName, and getName. The contract below is still written. I just moved it down to the bottom as we are now implementing this, adding on to our existing smart contract, making it execute, more complex functions. We still do have our original contract that will play away into our blend. So continuing that down, I'm going to hop in now and just quickly write down these rest of these commands, and then we will go back and actually go over these step by step and say exactly what they're doing and how they're actually helping our contract. And actually ended up tidying up our smart contract. So for those whose screens may not look like mine, that's okay. I'll leave this up here just for a minute, and of course the source code will be in the GitHub repository down below, so you can pull that code and of course review and make sure that things are working just properly. I know that the compilers can definitely be thrown out of sync often, and some things may not work the way they used to, just depending on the compiler version. So if things do not look like mine, or they're not working right away, don't quit, just stick with it. But absolutely covering what we just wrote in our previous section just a second ago before we fast forwarded over and did our jump cut. Let's define our big contract and definitely what we put inside that. So what we did is we put our function deposit, function withdraw, our balance, our check value, and also our loan. I also put it aside here. Just a classic mistake in the tutorial. Value should be above the amount. So just for those who made that constant mistake, who came from JavaScript or any other language, there are just kind of some slight changes with Solidity, kind of just how we talked about in the earlier video, and we'll kind of chime in here and there. And we'll also be having an errors tutorial, kind of how you can solve some common misconceptions of issues and other pragma errors and small things along those lines. So really getting back to the contract, you can see that we added those functions to the side now that we do have our check value button, we have balance, we have withdraw, we have deposit, and so on. So actually the cool thing now, we can get into cool inheritance and how this really applies the complexity to our smart contract, and how this is able to really be flexible and be a true smart contract. So moving in that way, you can see that the contract here, my first contract, as you guys should have as well, is equal to 100. So that's going to be our starting value of inheritance. So that inheritance is going to be started off with the value of 100. And as you can see up here with the contract of our bank regulator, I could have done the same thing, implementing that 100 for whatever baseline that may be. So actually the cool thing is if we click the get balance and we click that, let's actually scroll this up here and see so we can see our full screen. So we did our call contract. Awesome. Let's scroll down here and look at that. We start with a unit of 100. So that's actually great, and that's exactly what we wanted to start off with. We're actually going to be going over our interface regulator and how that is actually playing a big role into our contract. So how the interface regulator plays a big role, and this can also be applied to not only just the loan function and the check value function, but also if you wanted to put the withdraw function or possibly put the balance function in there, you can do that as well. So bool coming in with the Boolean variant comes into play here as to how it is checking the loan for the account to make sure the funds are in the account before the loan takes place, and also the check value, and also checking the value of the account to see if funds are available, to see before, therefore the check value would come first and then the loan would be coming after. As you can see, the check value is first and then the loan becomes after. So it's making sure that the accounts are funded and that the loan can be processed as a double check. So making this easier, the best way I put it is, usually when you go to a drink machine, one of those, one Powerade ones, I guess you could say, for example, you swipe your card and let's say you forget to enter the number and letter for your drink, so A7. So you forget to click A7. So what Visa did, you swiped your card, the transaction completed step 1, it did not complete step 2, therefore it cannot go to step 3. That's the best way I could put it for interface regulation. If the first function does not check out, then the second one will not check out, and you can't go 1, 2, 4. You got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the cool thing about interface regulator and also inheritance, is that now we have 2 smart contracts from our first tutorial, with our first contract being the unit variable of 100, but minus the unit variable going back up to our bank contract. We now have implemented the 2 through inheritance. So now the inheritance value of our bank contract is now playing the role with our original with our additional contract that we did in chapter 1. So not really, guys. Definitely this is where the fun part comes in. Definitely enjoy playing around with values and everything kind of on your toolbar that you've made. Congratulations, you have now added inheritance to your smart contract, which is now extended functionality to your very first smart contract, making them complex and information pulling and very much and so smart. So what you can really do here is just plan the values on the side. Just for example here, set my age here to 21. Let's also set another contract which is therefore the same. Usually they come here towards the bottom. I know interfaces can be different just depending how you got them laid out. So string name Trent VM, age 21 of course as well, and of course we have our, let's click deposit as well, 21,000. There you go, and now we have 21,000. So this is a little bit of add-on here to it's a simple bank add-on that we added to our contract, being able to loan, set the age, set the name, withdraw amount, balances, of course with deposits as well, and being able to have a pretty low range to mid-range interaction with our contract, which I think is awesome. So definitely play around with this, see what you can do, see what you can pull, add, not add, and so on. Of Solidity. So let's recap and see exactly what we learned today, new and old. So first off, something new we learned today was the interface regulator and inheritance. So interface regulator with inheritance now extends the functionality of one smart contract to another, or just overall extends the basic functionality of the smart contract, making it able to do things such as this. We did our set age, our set name, our withdraw deposits, making these functions now live, being able to input data live and not live data to be able to execute the things that we just did. We also learned in chapter 1 how to develop our own contract with basic functionality and somewhat high-level functionality, being able to implement our functions to therefore kind of have a front-end UI. Remix is really good, IDE, because you don't have to install anything. You guys notice that we hop on the web and you have a main website and you can have basically everything in terms of a simple front-end UI here available for us, so we don't have to really worrying about doing any front end. And also, guys, I believe the last thing that we learned today was private, external, and public functions and commands. Now that we may understand those better, I know those coming from JavaScript and other languages, definitely can be confused with the no extender that JavaScript and other languages is through our bool variant and external and internal functions. Alrighty, guys, so this has been a wrap up here of Learning Solidity Chapter 2. Definitely for Chapter 3, what we can definitely expect next chapter is some custom modifiers and error handling. Definitely some words of advice is to those who are following along and definitely doing other external guides and readings and so on I know the learning curve can be extremely steep sometimes, and things consistently change, and it's very frustrating when things don't work the way how they used to a week ago or even a month ago with this ever-changing and quick, fast-changing market. Just coming from somebody who is still fairly somewhat young and new, being blessed to be able to teach you guys this, just coming from heart to heart, because I know it can be real, especially when trying to learn a new skill. But awesome, guys, thank you so much for all the support and continued feedback and so on. Like and subscribe, please. Share this with friends or family or anyone you think would enjoy this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much. Bye bye.